All right, we have a quick question here from Cesar, who says that he has seen us use absolute value charts in Xenith, and that looks like this one on the screen. And we use these charts to look for possible mean reversion opportunities. And he's asked us how we can go about setting something like this up in Xenith. So thanks for the question, Cesar. It's quite simple to pull this off in Xenith. So the first step that you would want to do is inside Xenith, just open up a new tab anywhere and select the chart option. Now that will open up a chart, and most likely it'll select the whatever instrument you used on the chart previously on that chart. So in this case, I used the Nasdaq futures one previously, so that is the chart that'll be displayed on the screen, and you can of course change that to whatever instrument that you want to look at. So once you've done that and you have the chart open, you can simply go to just right click anywhere on the chart. Now I'm sure. I'm not sure how to change the actual chart. Let me just get that squawk down. How to change the actual chart itself, the one that you're working with. I usually go the long way around by adding an additional sub chart, and then I just delete the first one. So it's a little bit of a long way around, and I'm sure there is a quicker way of going about that. But I'll show you the way that I'm used to doing it. And of course, if you find a quicker way, it'll be awesome if you can let me know as well. So just right click anywhere on the chart. Go to the add option, scroll down to the add option, and then look for analysis. So just click on that. Once you've done that, you should see the insert analysis box appear. Now, once that pops up, what you need to do is put in the instrument that you would want to use. So whether you're on the Nasdaq and you want to use something else, obviously just change the instrument there. I'll just keep it here on the Nasdaq futures for now. And then what you want to do is on the left-hand side here, you want to go and look for the option. It should be the very first one that's called absolute change. So make sure that absolute change is selected. And then you can go to the display tab. So right next to general, just go to the display tab. And once you've done that, look for the line type option. It should be on default. So there you can just go and click the drop-down menu and then scroll down to histogram. Now, once you've done that, just go ahead and click add. And what you'll see is, remember, I didn't change the first chart, the actual Nasdaq chart. I just added an additional one to the bottom. So you can either view it like this. I know a lot of traders like to or prefer to use histogram or absolute change charts like this. And they want to see it in line with where the actual price chart is running as well. And the reason for that is whenever they have massive outside moves, which occur, and it might lead to some possible mean reversion, they like to add that onto the chart and see exactly whether the chart is currently at significant lows or highs. Because obviously, if you have a significant high being reached and you also have a massive absolute move that's much bigger than the past couple of months or weeks, then that just adds to the conviction and the probability of a possible mean reversion move. So that can help. But because I already, know where the charts are right now, because I'm looking at them throughout the entire day, I prefer to just delete the chart on top and then just keep the histogram chart itself, because I like to see it on a bigger frame. So I just go ahead and click on that chart, press delete on your keyboard, and then that gives you the histogram, the absolute change histogram chart. Now, you can play around with the various time horizons for this. For example, scalpers will often use a histogram chart like this or absolute change chart to help them find better timing on their entries. So when moves are quite excessive on an intraday basis, they will look at various time frames, various data in terms of absolute change and try and time their entries better. For me, I prefer to just keep things very, very simple, and I just look at them on a daily or a weekly or a monthly sometimes horizon, just getting a sense of when certain bigger moves like daily, weekly, or monthly moves might be looking a little bit exhausted. A good example, of course, is the most recent moves we saw on the Nasdaq. So if I just change this one to the weekly, we had that massive weekly move in the Nasdaq. Now, if I just zoom out, it was the biggest move in a couple of years on a weekly basis, right? So of course on Monday, if we open up the Nasdaq chart here, on Monday we did see quite a sell-off coming into the Nasdaq, and it wasn't only due to mean reversion. The reason for the downside, of course, was due to that rotation trade where we saw a lot of traders rotating out of growth and rotating into more cyclical or value-based stocks. And that's a lot of outflow from the growth stocks that makes up the majority of the Nasdaq. So there was a reason for it moving lower. But if you combine that outflows alongside the massive weekly move that we had to the upside, it just basically added to that conviction. It added to the size of the move, in my opinion, to the downside, because we already were looking quite lofty levels in terms of the chart, in terms of the price, and then of course in terms of the weekly absolute change. So using something like this can also be very helpful to use it across asset classes. So for example, if you're trading something like gold, it's good to have a chart that tracks the absolute gain of not only gold, but also things that's correlated with gold. So also tracking the dollar, also tracking something like US 10-year yields. So if you see any massive outsized move on a daily or weekly or monthly basis for either gold or either the dollar or either the US 10-year, then that can increase the probability of some mean reversion in any one of those. And that can, of course, affect the instruments that's related to that. So in the same way, if you see a massive outside move in terms of equities, if you look at it at the chart and you think that, okay, we had lofty levels, it might look like mean reversion, then of course keep that in mind for your high beta currency. So it's always good to keep that cross asset class checks in mind, especially when you look at charts like this. So Cesar, I hope that helps. Any other questions, please don't hesitate to let us know.